Glory to Jesus Christ.
Glory to Him forever.
We continue today our meditation on the fruits of the Holy Spirit. And yesterday we mentioned love, and we explained how important that fruit that comes through us into the world, and how important that we become the instruments in God's hands through which His love is shown into the world. He shows love to us through His creation, through His salvation, through everything we receive, and then we have to be these sort of mirrors through which love is reflected and is given back to God, and also is given into the world. Today's gospel is very important, and it talks about two aspects of our lives. Christ guards us against false prophets, he says, who come to you in sheep's clothing, but underneath are wolves on the prowl. And then he is explaining a very simple and very easily accessible for a human mind concept, that good fruit comes from a good tree. And the lesson that he is trying to convey is that you can tell a tree by its fruit, and you will know the false prophets. You will know them by their deeds, he says. The lesson is very simple, and it appears to be very easily understandable by us. But then, it is, in the same time we are explaining, we are thinking, meditating about the fruits of the Holy Spirit. And we are talking about the trees and the fruits of the deeds of the people, of false prophets and of good prophets in this gospel today. We have to learn how to discern the good from the bad, looking at the deeds of the people. Christ is guarding us against these false prophets, and we have to be really guarded against these false prophets. And it is not only talking about people who start new religions and sects and come preaching about Christ, but they want the money for it, or all these new religions that we have, that we see now coming up practically daily. Protestant churches, some of them becoming more and more aggressive in the land and territory where Catholicism and conservative Christianity has been for hundreds of years. It is not only about that. The other side of this teaching today, Christ is trying to guard us against ourselves. And He's trying to teach us, look at your deeds. Because a good tree brings good fruit. Well, let us look at ourselves. Let us not look at other religions. Let us not look at other people even. But look at ourselves. What are the fruits of our life? And what they should be. In our life, we usually have objectives. We have to do this. Get a degree for a young person. So he works towards this for years. And this is the fruit that he thinks he is working for. And then he gets that degree and he's happy about doing this, and he thinks that this is a fruit that he brought. Then we try to get a better job, try to start a family, raise the kids. And we have these objectives in our lives. And we think that they are actually the fruit that we have to bring into the world. But the truth is that these fruits of a good tree, we don't have to wait for years to bring them. These fruits are right through us given into the world every day, in every minute, in every conversation we have, in every thought we have, in our behavior, in our facing the world, co-workers, family, ourselves, our children. And this fruit can be brought every single day. Well, after love, the next three fruits of the Holy Spirit that we have to watch for in our lives, because by those fruit we can tell that we are good Christians, are joy, peace and patience. Christ with his teaching and the church with his teaching really completely changed and brought a new concept of love into the world. No one has spoken of love in the way that Christ did. And Christianity brought the new concept of love, Christ's concept of love, divine love, into the world, into our lives. And the same happens about joy as well. In Greek language, the word joy is kara, and in Ukrainian kara means punishment. Completely different thing. But in Greek, it's the same word that is at the foundation, at the root of the word charity. And it's also the same word that is at the foundation of the word charis in Greek that stands for grace. The true joy is not a feeling. We think of a joy as feeling, when you feel well, when you're happy. But that is not the true joy that is the gift or the fruit of the Holy Spirit. True joy is something that we receive as a grace. It is a fruit of God, God's action in us or through us. If we know Christ, if we follow Him, if we recognize Him in our lives, and if we seek to live our lives as if God was standing right next to us every moment of our life, that will give us joy. But that joy is not something that comes from us. That joy comes from a true relationship with God. So if we think about joys that we have in our lives, or moments when we feel well, when we feel complete, when we have reached a certain goal in our life, we were just talking about bringing fruit throughout our life. Yes, we feel joy. We have joy when the guy gets the degree. He's joyous. When we have a family, when a baby is born, that is joy too. But that is a momentary joy. That is a feeling. That is just some sort of hormones running up and down our brain and causing us to feel that way. And then you see depressed people who think that they do not feel joy. And yes, indeed, they do not, because those hormones are not produced. But that is a completely different type of joy from the real joy that comes from union with the Holy Spirit, accepting His gifts and bringing them into the world. The true joy comes from God. And that joy is not a feeling, is not related to our hormones, is not related to our moment, is the joy of recognizing God and living your life with it. And that brings us to the next gift of the Holy Spirit, which is peace. Peace again has different meanings in our language, and we think of it in different ways. We are at peace with our family, sometimes not. With our kids, with our government. Our country is at peace with other countries, but sometimes not. We have enemies, and if those enemies don't do anything, we think that we are at peace. But once again, there are different kinds of peace. And the true peace that comes from God, that action of Holy Spirit that through us can be brought into the world, the true peace is not an absence of war. True peace is union with God, knowing that God is right next to you. There is this quotation that I found. Peace is not the absence of conflict, but the presence of God, no matter what the conflict is. If that is the peace that we will search for and we will find in our life, there's always a conflict in our life. A conflict with ourselves, if you're too lazy, if we can't do something, if we get sick. These are kinds of conflicts we cannot win. These are kinds of wars we cannot win. So if we are really looking for worldly peace, we will never find it. Or if we find it, it's going to be like a vapor that goes away right in a second. But the true presence of God, in no matter what is the conflict, that is the true peace that can be brought into our souls and through us into the world. Patience. In some translations they will say long-suffering, endurance. Wrong? Did I say it wrong?
No, I don't have much patience.
You don't have much patience. Nobody has. And once again, what is patience? Patience is something, is an attitude. Patience is a feeling as well. But towards whom? If you look back at the gospel today, we hear that Christ is talking about not being too patient, actually. He says we do not have to be patient with the false prophets. We will read further tomorrow from the next verse and on, because once sort of we listen to this gospel today and we think, okay, here I have a false prophet, or I am doing something wrong. I have identified that. I have identified that I or someone else is bringing bad fruit. Am I a bad tree? What do I do about getting better? Well, patience is also based not on being okay with things. Sometimes not being okay with things is the cause for change, is the cause for improvement. It's actually a sin to keep calm when you see sin. I don't know if I put that right. We sometimes don't have to be patient. Well, what is the true patience? The true patience is recognizing that it is not we that are in control. It's not us who are making things happen. It's recognizing that there is God, that there is eternity. It is recognizing our being limited in every aspect, physically, morally, spiritually. We are limited beings. But on the other hand, recognizing that there is God, there is Holy Spirit that works through us. If God chooses us to be His instruments, He probably thinks of us much better than what we think of ourselves. We look at this world and we think that it is bad, that it is not perfect, of course. Well, Leibniz, a great philosopher of rationalism, he had this concept of the best of possible worlds. He would say that God, before He created the world, He probably imagined many different worlds. And which one would He create out of those worlds? He created the one that is best of all of them, was best of all of them. Well, being us limited, and I don't know a more kind word, stupid. I don't know what is the kinder word for that.
That's good.
It's good. It reflects the true understanding, the mind that we have against God's mind. We cannot understand of this, but the true patience is be patient with God and accepting His presence and His action through us into this world. Glory to Jesus Christ.
Glory to Him forever.